Hello and welcome to FTR TV's coverage of the Napa 125 from Montreal. A bit of a different event here from what we're used to, a road course. And we have a field of 20 cars that are going to take to the track and attempt to get the prize at the end. Our pole sitter is Joshua Chin. In second is Jeremy Dominique. Third, Ryan Cobb. Fourth, Triffin Davis. And rounding out the top five is Adam Codell. Bobby Chaney, sixth. Steve Bonesteel, seventh. Eighth to Chris Overland. Ninth is Jesse Kaplan. And 10th is Nick DePalmo. And the green flag is now in the air. The field goes charging down towards turn number one and now to turn number two. Working their way through that little chicane there. Looks like Joshua Chin's going to get the advantage over the rest of the field here, coming off of turn number three. Starting to sort things out as they head down to turn number four. About a 4-car length advantage for Joshua Chin over Jeremy Dominique. Then Triffin Davis comes through in third, Ryan Cobb fourth, and Adam Codell in fifth there. Single file to the first 7 cars, with Chris Overland there being in 7th, and then a big separation back to Steve Bonesteel in 10th. Looks like about a second and a half. Yes, just a local yellow for that. I'm sure it looks like Jesse Kaplan in the 22 pulled off the track. Bit of an issue there. Now gets his car righted in the right direction. And Manuel Sanchez goes through for a spin back in turn 8, it looked like. But as you said, Joshua Chin gets a big advantage, nearing 10 car lengths there as he comes down to this final chicane here and to the start-finish line to complete lap number 1. Assuming he gets through there clean, which he does, he's going to lead this first lap of 30 scheduled here today. Just to catch our viewers up to date on a few of the rules for today's race, there will not be any green-white checkers as we've had in our in our super speedway races. And also the cautions will be local cautions unless they are big enough to warrant a full course caution. So if we see a car spin or tag the wall, unless it prevents racing from being able to be done safely, this race will stay green for the grand majority of the time. And at this moment in time, yes, a lot of rear brake in this setup, and those who are familiar may have just seen our leader Joshua Chin dealing with just that. You get into the corner, you get hard on those brakes, and there's so much rear brake in these cars, and with this being a fixed setup, you're not allowed to change that. You get a little bit of a wheel hop if you get on there too hard, and it can really get you going off course very quickly if you don't stay on top of it. And it looked like our leader Joshua Chin had to deal with that a little bit in that last set of corners, but was able to handle that well enough. Fight for second place starting to close up there. Jeremy Dominique has it. Triffin Davis wants it. About 6 car lengths between those two as they head down to this final set of corners here. Make it a car length as they work through there. Oh, Triffin Davis loses the back end of his car, but gets it back straight. He's going to lose a lot of real estate in the process, but he keeps his car clean. So that drops Triffin now down to 4th, moves Ryan Cobb up to 3rd, and relieves some of the pressure from Jeremy Dominique, and now he sets his sights on Joshua Chin. Chin opened up that bit of a lead there in the opening lap, but dare I say, it looks like Dominique is starting to close in. A little bit of a classic battle here with that Chevy up front and that Ford trying to close in. Oh, Joshua Chin goes around. Joshua Chin goes around at the exit of turn 10 and loses the lead, and even more. It looks like he's going to be fifth by the time this is all sorted out. So now put Dominique up to the point with a very substantial advantage over now Triffin Davis, who worked his way back around Ryan Cobb and now finds himself in second. As I mentioned, Ryan Cobb now third, Adam Kodal now fourth, and Joshua Chin down to fifth. All it takes is one tiny mistake like that. It doesn't matter if you're a leader or anywhere else on the track. One tiny mistake, you're going to go around, you're going to lose a lot of time really quick. Yeah, he still has a lot of time to make up the ground that he's lost, and that certainly is ground that he can make up as long as he runs nearly flawlessly for the rest of this race. Certainly another incident like that wouldn't do him any good, though. Meanwhile, it looks like Ryan Cobb had a bit of a handful off at turn number 3 there. Keeps it straight and keeps his position. But a lot of pressure from behind, not only from the 33 of Adam Kodal, but also from Joshua Chin trying to recover from that incident he had just last lap. It's a good little battle for third that we have going on here. Ryan Cobb trying to hold on to the position. Doing well so far, but Adam Kodal is waiting there for just a little slip to give him the opportunity to get around. Exactly, and you know, Adam, he might have started applying a little bit more pressure here if he can, because he can't afford to wait too long because Joshua Chin is right there looking for an opportunity to get around him. As they exit the hairpin and go down this long straightaway, a lot of ground can be made up here or lost. If you just miss a shift or get out of that hairpin just wrong, you can lose a lot of time, but you can also make it up if you hit it right. Hard braking down in the turns 14 and 15 there. Another area where you can just make up so much ground if you can get through there right. A lot of points in the track that are like that. Working lap number 5 here. Top 5 is still the same, with Jeremy Dominique leading, Triffin Davis in second, Ryan Cobb third, Adam Kodal fourth, and Joshua Chin fifth. Last lap at the line, the lead for Dominique was just shy of 4 seconds over Triffin Davis. About another 1 and 3/10 seconds back to Ryan Cobb. And then you have that gaggle battling for third. Yeah, it looked like he was closing in on Chin there and was setting himself up to be in position to take the lead from him. And Chin, with that incident, made it easy for him. Yeah, Ryan Cobb able to get some separation on Adam Kodal there, and we're really not seeing Joshua Chin recover quite the way that I expected him to, considering that he was on the pole and was setting a good pace up front, even considering the fact that Dominique was closing in on him. Just for the sake of comparison, Dominique last lap ran a minute 48.82, and Joshua Chin ran a minute 42.261. So definitely not running near the leader's pace, and not even running quicker than any of the drivers in front of him by a long shot, at least last lap. Now that I say that, though, it looks like he's closing back in on Adam Kodal in front of him. And if you watch him through these corners, especially coming off of them, it's not coming easy for him. He's got that rear end kicked out on a lot of the exits of the corners, but he's getting after it. He's at least making up time on Cadal there in front of him. Probably not doing those rear tires any favors, though. Now we'll see if he can get a bit of a run on him, set up a pass down here in this final chicane. So put Chin up to 4th. And Godal back to 5th. Looked like Godal kind of conceded defeat there, at least at this point in the race, and allowed him to go through instead of trying to go through that set of corners side by side. Oof. I tell you what, Chin has a handful right now in that number 93. But other than that incident that he had there on lap 2 or 3, he's been able to keep it straight. So, not doing a bad job considering how sideways we keep on seeing him. He has quite an advantage, but we should document it was 3.7 seconds last time we checked in on the lead. Last lap, it was 2.8 seconds differential at the line. So Tryfon Davis making up some ground there on that number 34. We'll have to see what the differential is at the line this time. Yeah, he was fast in practice, and as you can see, he's fast in this race too. About 2.7 seconds there, so a tenth on that lap. It's going to be all about being consistent running these laps throughout these 30 laps. And it's definitely something that's difficult to do on this course with these cars, regardless of what setup that you have underneath of it, but especially with all that rear brake bias. It makes things especially difficult. If you overshoot one of your marks, it takes a lot to gather it up and keep it straight. He's worked his way around Ryan Cobb, so now he is up in 3rd. That's about 7 seconds from the leader. What do you think, Bates? You think we can do a little through the field here? Hook that little bottom bar. Jeremy Dominique is your leader there in the number 34. He started this in right alongside Josh Chin, and ever since Chin spun, he has led ever since then. 5 laps so far. It'll be 6 at the line, assuming he can get through these last couple of corners without incident, which he does. Back to 2nd is Tryfon Davis there in the number 24. He started 4th, now finds himself 2nd. About 3.5 seconds now behind the leader, so he lost some time on that lap. And 3rd is Joshua Chin at the line. Obviously started on the pole, had that spin, but now recovering from that. And 4th is Ryan Cobb. Started 3rd and running solid right there in the top 5. Running 5th is Adam Cadal. Started 5th and runs 5th, so nice and steady for the number 33. Running in 6th is the number 99 of Bobby Chaney. A good 21 seconds behind the leader. Nick DePalmo in the number 40 is a lap down. Manuel Sanchez in the number 17 here at the line. He's going to be scored 7th. Scored 8th is Drake Alvarado with a little bit of an exciting turn 2 there, and turn 3, number 51. Started 20th, though, and has worked his way up to 8th. Looks like that car's pretty clean, so good work for Alvarado. Almost 50 seconds behind the leader, but a lot of positions made up here in these first 9 laps. Danny Congan in that number 85 scored 9th after starting 15th. Evan Melanson in the number 20. He's one of the Canadians in the field here. He scored 10th after starting 19th. Steve Bonesteel in the number 25 scored 11th. He started 7th, so he's lost a little bit of ground from where he started. And my goodness, that was an interesting exit at the corner for him. Does everything but spin in that corner, gets it back going. Behind him there, the number 26, Mike R. Johnson, scored 13th. And behind him is Brennan McGee. He probably was involved in one of those incidents there on the opening lap, but Andrew Schwartz there, the number 67, scored 14th. And the next car that pops up when we go through is Jeremy Dominique, our leader. Woo! He had to get after it there entering that corner. Each of these drivers does have a tow at their disposal if they choose to use it, but it looks like Jesse Kaplan in the number 22, Dylan Landry in the number 88, possibly the number 87 of Jake Blackhall have already retired. It appears Chris Overland has as well in the number 47. And he is only 3.9 seconds behind the leader. But as we look at him, Triffin Davis is not in the frame. Welcome back to Montreal here on FTR TV. Looking at Joshua Chin working his way out of the hairpin and down that long straightaway, trying to close back in on Jeremy Dominique, who he gave the lead up to back on lap 3 with that incident that he had, making up a lot of time now. And making up a lot of positions. Want to document, we said that he worked his way up into second. Well, that was because Triffin Davis made his way to pit road. Took 2 left side tires and got fuel back on lap number 10. And we've heard that the pit window is between 20 and 22 laps. So if that's the case, that would put him within reach of the end of this race. Woo, Joshua Chin. It looks like Ryan Cobb, obviously, as you just mentioned, Triffin Davis, Danny Congdon, Evan Watson, and Mike Johnson of the cars scored in the top 10 are the ones that have made pit stops so far. Ryan Cobb, based upon that time, electing to get 4 tires, it would appear. Danny Congdon, though, along with Mike R. Johnson, just getting fuel. Manuel Sanchez, though, in that 17, along with Bobby Chaney, Adam Cadal, Joshua Chin, and Jeremy Dominique have yet to pit, though. First car on the track that has pit would be Triffin Davis, and last time at the line he was 40 seconds behind, so we'll see where he shakes out here when everybody has made a pit stop. And for these top 4, if something should happen to warrant a full course caution, they will have to make a pit stop at that point in time, whereas all these guys who have made their pit stops so far will have the opportunity to stay out and come out in front of them. Joshua Chin, it appears... Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, Bobby Chaney. I'm sorry, Bobby Chaney had an incident there on the track. His car, very similar color there to Joshua Chin, had an incident there in that last set of corners, so that allows Triffin Davis to get around him. Now, Bobby Chaney's in the clutches of Ryan Cobb. All these drivers who have made pit stops, and Chaney has yet to make his. Right now, as I looked for that, I found Drake Alvarado piling into the wall here in one of the chicanes. Smoke boiling out of that car in the number 51. I don't know if he's used his toe yet or not, but a lot of damage there for that number 51. As that happened, though, Ryan Cobb was able to work his way around Chaney. This is some 44 or so seconds behind the leader. Joshua Chin had closed into about 3.5 seconds of Dominique there at one point in time, but has since fallen to 6+ seconds behind. Based upon the way he's been driving and everything, I'd have to think that those rear tires are really heated up and need some time to cool down, and that's preventing him from being able to make any progress at this point in time. A lot of the drivers who have come to pit road, though, have elected for 2 tires, if not just fuel only. So if he comes to pit road, it'll be interesting to see if he opts for 4 or 2 and how that works out for him with those tires clearly cooked on his car. That is a good point to make. One little benefit that he will have from that, though, is when he comes out, his tires will be, depending on when he pits, several laps fresher than those of his competitors, so that will be one advantage he'll have over them. And Brennan McGee has had an incident going into one of the chicanes. Looked like he had that wheel hop and he went straight into the barrier. And his car is destroyed. And because Brennan had already made a pit stop, his fast tow was used, so if he's to get it back out there, it's going to be quite a while from now for them to make those repairs. Yeah, Mike not giving Dominique, not giving the position around him, at least not yet. He finds himself off track, but not before Joshua Chin is able to make up a lot of ground thanks to that. Now about 3.5 seconds behind. Whether he can do anything with that and continue to close in, or we'll have to see if Mike puts up as big a fight for Chin as he just did for the leader. Obviously didn't want to go a lap down. But now that he is, maybe he'll be more forgiving to the second place driver. As they come down through this final chicane, work their way down the front stretch, completing 16 laps. We're just past halfway here in this race. We'll see what the interval is at the line here. Oh, no, we won't, because Joshua Chin is on pit road. So we'll watch his pit stop. Gets down to that first pit stall there at the very end of pit lane. At least right side tires here for the number 93. And left sides as well. 14.6 seconds. I'm sorry, Vance. Just now exiting pit road. 15-second pit stop for him, so as you can, if the graphics up, you can see that his pit stop pretty slow for what you'd normally expect, whereas Chin's was just about average. He is the last of our major contenders here left to pit, at least so far in this race. Looks like Bobby Janey and Manuel Sanchez also due to make pit stops, but they are significantly farther behind. We'll have to see where Triffin Davis comes out of all this. He's the first car on track before these pit stops that had made stops, so we'll see where he shakes out with those guys who have just come in and pit. Looks like he's about 2 seconds behind Ryan Cobb. And then you have to go another 5 seconds or so to get up to Joshua Chin, so Chin still has a good advantage over those two. as he can run through the rest of his race. Adam Cadell, meanwhile, came out. He's running 6th, just behind Bobby Chaney. 56 seconds behind the leader. Still has to make a pit stop. I would expect Chin will be able to make up a lot of ground now, though, because he has fresh tires on his car. They're not abused like the previous set were, and he'll be able to work with these ones, and as long as he keeps everything straight, he won't have to deal with, well, as he overshoots the hairpin there, but he won't have to deal with tires that have gone through a spin like he had from lap 3 on. Andrew Schwartz making his way down pit lane, but Jeremy Dominique still on track. Working his way down towards turn number 9 and 10 here. It's been pretty smooth sailing so far for the number 34. Started outside pole. Was able to get around Chin when Chin had that issue, and he's been quick all race long and nice and steady too. Working his way out of the hairpin and now down that long straightaway. We'll see if he makes his way to pit lane this time. He passes on pit lane once again, so he's coming to take lap 20. He has to be close on fuel at this point. Remember, we were told the pit window is about 22 laps. Works his way around a lap car there of Nick DePalmo in the 40. DePalmo running now 2 laps down. Just want to document the number 51 of Drake Alvarado. He had significant damage, but he did still have a tow to use, so he is back on track, scored in the 13th position, but he has scored 5 laps down. At the line, Joshua Chin, 31 seconds behind the leader. And the previous lap, he was about 35 seconds behind, so definitely getting a lot of ground made up here as he works around the track on fresh tires while Dominique stays out on those old tires. You know, I was just talking about fuel being an obstacle for Dominique, but he has to come in for fresh tires, I would have to say, at this point in time, because Chin is just making up, I mean, so much ground on him in such big chunks in short amounts of time. I don't know how much longer Dominique can afford to give that up. He passes on pit lane once again, though. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if he can make it through the pit stop without any sort of issues, because at this point in time, the pit stop is the one thing that's standing in his way, besides, of course, the final 10 laps of this race. At the line, another couple of seconds, maybe second and a half there for Joshua Chin. So he didn't make up as much ground in as big a chunk, but still a nice amount of ground made up there for one circuit around this track. And Triffitt Davis is off track. Triffitt Davis was 4th, and oh my goodness. at the beginning of his 20th circuit. He went down into turn number 2, and it looks like he never slowed down. Quite the crash there for Triffitt Davis, and I think that's going to be his day. A shame, because he was really running well. Now Jeremy Dominique still passing on pit lane, coming to complete his 21st lap. Well, another thing about road courses, if you work the gears just a certain way and work the throttle, there's a lot of opportunities to use a lot of gas and also save quite a bit of gas. So maybe he can squeeze out a lap or two if he really wants to, but certainly not enough to get to the end, based upon what we've been told. And certainly based upon everybody else having come down pit lane. Works his way through turns 9 and 10, and now works his way down towards the hairpin. Meanwhile, last lap, just 27 seconds back to Joshua Chinnon. Now, 27 seconds sounds like a long time, but we still have to account for a pit stop here for this number 34, working his way down pit lane at just 40 miles an hour. And the time for the pit stop on top of that, it's going to be close. Working his way down this long straightaway now. We'll see if he makes his way onto pit road. No, he passes on pitting once again, now completing 22 laps. Unless his strategy is to take just fuel only, but even with fuel only, I mean, I could certainly see Chin coming out with the lead, and quite a lead for that matter, by the time that's all said and done. So I think at this point, you're going to have to take the tires just to be able to stay with Chin and try and make up the ground. We'll see. Perhaps he knows more than we do. It's not too uncommon that that's the case. Just want to document some other drivers here. Ryan Cobb is 48 seconds behind the leader in third. So Ryan Cobb is no longer 48 seconds behind the leader. That'll put Adam Cadal back up to third when they get back around to the line. Probably at that point figured that victory was not within his reach, but I'll tell you what, there was some prize money still within reach. I mean, he was the second highest running Chevy at that point. If he got back going and Chin had an issue, there was a little bit of money to be earned there if he kept on going at it, but nonetheless, he retires from the event. Yep, passed again once more, so now he has completed 23 laps and will have to complete 24 circuits to get back to pit lane if he's going to do it at speed at least. Working his way through turns 9 and 10 there, that little chicane, and down towards The hairpin. Joshua Chin, last lap, 23.5 seconds behind. Looks like he's making up a second and a half pretty much every lap at this point. Whenever Dominique does opt to pit, if he takes tires, he will be able to make up quite a bit of ground on Chin quite quickly because his tires will be significantly fresher than Chin's. It's just I don't know if he'll have enough time to make up the ground he's going to have to make up and complete a pass in that amount of time. We'll just have to see. He passes on pitting once again. He has now completed 24 laps without pitting and will have to complete 25 if he's going to make it back to the pits. He had a bit of an evil wiggle out of turn 3 there, but kept it under him. Well, even if he doesn't, no matter how this shakes out, he's certainly shown that he's a very disciplined road racer. He's kept the car underneath of him the entire race. He's been very fast the entire time, running consistent lap times. Appears to be a very well-rounded road racer here, this Jeremy Dominique. He works his way through the hairpin. And onto that long straightaway. We'll see if he'll opt to pit this time. If he passes on pitting this time, I mean, my goodness, we're going to have to start talking about if he's contemplating going to the end. We'll see. All right, good. He's finally coming to pit lane. He'll work his way down to the second pit stall here on pit road. And we'll see what he opts to do, if it's just fuel only or 2 tires, 4 tires, and if it's going to be enough to win this race. At least right side tires and just right side tires for the number 34. So we'll see. We'll see how this works out. Just right side tires for the 34 and an extensive amount of time staying out on the track, and 4 tires for Chin in an earlier pit stop. We'll see how this all rounds out. Joshua Chin is our leader, and by an extensive amount. He is working his way down towards turn number 9 right now. And as he does that, Dominique is just now coming off of turn number 8, so there's at least a few seconds for the number 93 of Joshua Chin there. When they get back to the line, it's going to be just 4 laps to go for Dominique to make up that time. And he only has fresh right side tires. He has 25-lap-old left side tires, whereas Joshua Chin has about 10-lap-old left side tires and right side tires. So this is going to be very interesting. But he does have some fresh right side tires, and he's been one of the most consistent drivers out there today, so we'll see what he can do. It looks like he's going to have to overcome about 7 seconds in 4 laps. That's going to be quite the task. Meanwhile, our leader Joshua Chin working his way through turns 4 and 5 and coming up on the lap car. Drake Alvarado there gets away with no incident. Looking at the live interval, looks like it's down to 6.1 seconds, now 6 seconds even, and even less as Dominique works his way off of corner number 8. So he's definitely closing the gap. It's just the question of whether he's going to be able to close it up enough.
Hey, wake up.
And we can see that he lost a little bit of time through turns 9 and 10, so we'll have to see how it all shakes out at the line, whether it's a net gain or a net loss for the number 34. It definitely needs a big gain by the time this is all said and done. T2 also working up on that lap car there. Drake Alvarado. Alvarado moves over. Gives him the lane to work with and no incident. Joshua Chin working his way down the front stretch. Flashes across the line, and now Dominique coming off the final corner, working his way down towards the line. About 6.4 seconds at the line. So that was significant gain there for the 34, but not enough with just 3 laps remaining. Joshua Chin's going to have to run another 2.5 now laps, nearly flawlessly though, to keep that 34 off his back, because if he makes one mistake, the 34 is going to be right on him and have a chance to get into victory lane by the time this is all said and done. And it doesn't exactly look like Chin's being conservative. He's right on those rumble strips through all those corners. Looks like he's trying to get everything he can out of that 93 to keep running at a pace that he can keep that 34 out of touch. He works his way out of the hairpin, and Dominique works his way in. Dominique has led 23 laps in this event. As they're approaching 2 laps to go, I just don't know if his pit strategy is going to be the correct one. Chin works his way through the final chicane there, right up on the curb. Working his way down, 2 laps to go here at the line. Dominique works his way off the final corner down the front stretch. And about 5.8 seconds, so only a few tenths there on that lap. Definitely not enough to get the win from Chin. I would have to say at this point, Dominique is going to need a mistake out of that 93 to be able to get the victory. Just to document the rest of the top 5, in third is Adam Cadal in that number 33. Fourth is Danny Congdon in number 85. And fifth is Manuel Sanchez in number 17. All those drivers are at least 40 seconds behind Joshua Chin, though. Dominique is the only one that's even remotely close to the zip code that Joshua Chin is right now on the track. Chin works his way through the hairpin and now down that long straightaway, headed down to the final chicane. Going to have the white flag at the line when they come by. Dominique now working his way down that straightaway as well. So there's going to be one more lap to settle it. Is it going to be Joshua Chin, who works his way off the final corner right now, picking up the win after a spin on lap 3? Or is it going to be Jeremy Dominique with an epic comeback in the final 5 laps to get the win? Chin works his way through turn 3 for the final time and down towards turn number 4 in that chicane. Gets through there clean. Now working his way down towards turn number 7. Not too much pressure from behind. Dominique's only about 4.5 seconds behind, so there's a lot of room for Chin to work with at this point. Makes his way to turn number 9 underneath the bridge. And off of turn number 10, no incident there. And now down to the hairpin. Nice and smooth for the 93. And now down that long straightaway, only one more obstacle between him and victory, and it's that final chicane. And it would appear that Dominique got off track at some point because he's now 12 seconds behind Chin, probably trying to make up a lot of ground in a short amount of time and just couldn't do it. Chin's going to come off the final corner with a evil wiggle and probably a bit of showboating there as well. Well deserved as he comes across the line and picks up the win. After spinning on lap number 3, he's able to get back to the lead with the right pit strategy and a very quick car. Winning from the pole after leading 7 of the 30 circuits here today, Joshua Chin in the number 93 is your winner. At the line, Jeremy Dominique comes across in second, 12 seconds behind Joshua Chin. Adam Cadal, third, 43 seconds behind. Danny Congdon, fourth in the number 85. And Manuel Sanchez, fifth. And Bobby Chaney, sixth. Andrew Schwartz, seventh. Mike Johnson, eighth. Nick DePalmo, ninth. And Ryan Cobb, 10th. As they work their way around the track on the cool-down lap, looks like Dominique's coming up to the 93. As Chin works his way around the speedway, we'll see if he celebrates when he gets back around here. Chin doing some celebratory burnouts here at the hairpin after picking up the win here in the Napa 125.
Hey, wake up.
Take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, see if we can get a word with Joshua Chin. Count us down. Back here at Montreal, and we have the winner, Joshua Chin, victorious after 30 laps of racing here at Montreal. Chin, you've ended up spinning on lap 3 from the lead and spent pretty much the rest of the race trying to make up that lost ground. What were you thinking at that time?
After I spun, I just kind of said, "Oh, well, time to just reset and pretend we started in the back," and just kept making laps, and eventually had to make a pit stop. And I wasn't sure what Jeremy was going to do, if he was going to take no tires or a low amount of fuel at the end or something. So I just kind of waited out and waited to see what he would do.
And ultimately, it looked like your strategy was the best one, but after that spin and, maybe 10 or so laps after that, how hard was it driving that car around? Because it looked like a handful.
It was definitely not the most optimal handling car I've ever had in a race, but it wasn't too bad compared to driving, say, the Gen 6 at a road course after a couple laps on the tires.
Well, once you made that pit stop, we were documenting the entire time you were making up big chunks of time every single lap. At that point, how were you? Did you feel like you were in pretty good shape to come out with the lead there, or?
Oh, I felt like I kind of had a shot. I didn't know what Jeremy was going to do on the pit stop, so a lot of that hinged on the pit stop, and I just said, "Oh, I'm going to have to do the best I can to try and make up as much ground as I can," and that's what everything was after that the spin. And then once we got the lead, it just kind of maintaining the gap and making sure he didn't close up too much on us.
Absolutely, and it worked out for you. With about 5 laps to go, he ended up finally coming to pit road, and it came out with a pretty good gap on him. Were you worried about him closing that up, or were you just focused on getting to the end?
I was a little worried about it, but I figured there was enough of a gap, and I had enough laps to where if I needed to, I could try and keep him behind me as best as I could. And thankfully, I was able to do that.
Absolutely. Well, a fantastic effort from you to not only get the pole, but also get the win after a little bit of a spin there. Definitely a well-deserved win and one that you had to fight for.
Thank you.
That's Joshua Chin,
User
today's
was
winner.
moved out of your
Let's see if
channel.
we can get a word with second
User was
place,
moved to
Jeremy
your
Dominique. Jeremy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Jeremy, you led the most laps in the race, and you were leading with coming to 5 to go. What went wrong? Was it just the strategy didn't shake out, or what was it that kept you from being able to get the victory today?
I was kind of hoping my tires would hold up in about 20 to 21, 22 laps, and my tires just fell off completely, and I lost a ton of time. And then when I went into pit, I accidentally took 2 tires. I didn't want to take any, but freed up the car a little bit.
Oh, I see. So you lost a little bit of time in the pits, and with the tire fall off, you just didn't have something underneath you to be able to make up all the ground that you had to chin.
Yeah, and if he didn't mess up there in the first couple laps there, I think he would have had a 15-second lead coming there towards probably like 25 laps there. But he was quick, and give him a lot of credit.
Well, a lot of credit is deserved for you as well. You paced 23 of the circuits of the 30 that we ran here today, and you were consistent on the track all day long.
Yeah, I was just trying to save my stuff because I knew someone was going to play the strategy where they're going to pit halfway in and get tires, and tires are a big thing on these cars because I know, like 22 to go there, just completely hit the bricks.
Yeah, these things aren't really very well suited for running on the road courses, and they eat up a lot of tire. Frankly, the fact that you're able to get 20 good laps out of them is a surprise.
The fact that I could probably finish that race was a surprise.
Well, a very good effort for you, Jeremy. Came up a little bit short of getting the win, but absolutely a stellar effort nonetheless.
hey, I'll take second any day.
That's Jeremy Dominique, our second place finisher. Let's see.
Buddy left your channel. User was moved to your channel. Buddy joined
How did
your
I get moved out
channel.
of here? All right, Adam, can you hear me?
User was
Yes, I
moved
can.
out of your channel.
Well, after 30 laps of racing, you found yourself in third place. Take me through your race and what you had to overcome.
Oh, man. It was, I don't know what to say. It was kind of a struggle at the beginning of me. I took a 6 months hiatus because I had to move out of state. And I haven't really done much road racing since then, so I'm lucky I got all the practice I did. And I'm glad I started up front because apparently there was a big wreck in the back. And I just said, well, see you later. Hopefully I can survive up front and there's no wrecks with us.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of contenders were caught up in that, but you started there in the 5th position and hung around the top 5 all day long.
Yeah, I mean, the car was great. Like I said, I haven't driven many road courses in a while, and this was actually kind of fun for me. A little bit of a struggle, but pit stops were all right. I was hoping to catch Jeremy, but they were just way too far ahead, and I wasn't really great on old tires. And I figured I was content with third, and I don't think Danny had a chance of catching me. He was too far behind, so I just decided to cool down and take it easy for the remainder of the laps after the pit stops.
Well, definitely a good effort there to get the 3rd place finish after starting in the top 5, running there all day long. Very consistent and solid race for you, Adam.
Thank you. I would like to thank my sponsors, but I don't have any on this car, so I would like to thank my Big Blue Hood for being there attached at the end of the race.
An absolutely stellar effort out of that blue hood to stay attached to your car, not dislodge itself and create an issue. So props to your big blue hood.
Ha, thank you. And my Big Blue Hood probably says thank you to you too.
I'd have to imagine so. Congratulations, Adam, on your top 3 finish. And we hope to see you in one of our future events.
Oh, I will. This was a blast for me, so I will probably be around in the future.
Glad to hear that. That's Adam Codell, our
User
3rd
was
place
moved out of
finisher
your channel.
in the Napa 125 here from Montreal. Take you through a final full field rundown here. Obviously, our winner was Joshua Chin. 2nd place, Jeremy Dominique. And 3rd place was Adam Cadal, who you just heard from. 4th was Danny Congdon. 5th was Manuel Sanchez. 6th, Bobby Cheney. 7th goes to Andrew Schwartz. Mike R. Johnson comes home in 8th. Nick DePalma 9th. And Ryan Cobb, after retiring there with 8 circuits left, finishes 10th. Drake Alvarado finishes 11th. Triffin Davis 12th. Evan Watson 13th. Brendan McGee 14th. And Steve Bonesteel 15th. Chris Overland finishes 16th. 17th goes to Jake Blackhall. 18th to Dylan Landry. 19th to Jesse Kaplan. And the other 2 cars on the entry list did not start. So that's going to conclude our coverage here from Montreal for the Napa 125. Joshua Chin wins from the pole and goes from the spin to the win. Coming out with the right strategy to overcome that spin and to overtake Jeremy Dominique. Coming out with the win at the end of the race. So until next time, I'm Tyler Head alongside Alex Bates from FTR TV.